Good morning, children. Welcome to Storytime. I am going to read today from a book called Bold and Brave. 10 Heroes Who Won Women the Right to Vote. I'm reading this today because we just experienced a very historical moment where we have now a female vice president of the United States. It's the first time we've ever had a female in such a high position. And so you might be surprised to learn, but a lot of our history as a country and as a people said that women were not going to be allowed to have all of the rights that men had. So these are, I chose 3 women who fought for our rights to be equal to men. So this one is the first one. Her name is Susan B. Anthony, and she lived from 1820 to 1906, and on the painting it says, "Never give up." So here's about Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony was an abolitionist, which means she opposed slavery. Elizabeth Cady Stanton convinced Susan to fight for women's voting rights too, and together they were a team. Some people said that Elizabeth forged the thunderbolts and Susan fired them. Susan traveled the country by train and horse-drawn coach to rally support for voting rights for women, often wearing her favorite red silk shawl. See there, she's wearing her favorite shawl. She wrote home, "We speak in schoolhouses and barns and sawmills and log cabins with boards for seats and lanterns hung around for lights, but people come 20 miles to hear us. Today, 20 miles may not seem far, but before cars, it could take all day or longer to travel that distance." In 1872, Susan tried to vote for the president, and she was arrested. She spoke for years and years until she died almost 15 years before women won the right to vote. Others carried the torch, and the amendment that finally granted women the right to vote, the 19th Amendment, is also called the Susan B. Anthony Amendment. All right, so that's Susan B. Anthony. Then we have a picture of Ida B. Wells. And she lived from 1862 to 1931. And on her painting it says, "Tell your story." Orphaned at 16 in Holly Springs, Mississippi, Ida B. Wells fought for her place in the world her whole life. When she was only 22 years old, a train conductor told Ida to give up her seat because she was sitting in the ladies' coach of the train. See, here's the picture of her on the train, and they're trying to tell her, "Move out of this train coach," which they said was only for white women. Ida had a first-class ticket, so she refused to move. 3 men dragged her out. As soon as she got home to Memphis, she sued the railroad. Even though she didn't ultimately win her court fight, her bravery inspired later activists. Ida became a respected journalist who wrote about her experiences and the violence and injustice faced by African Americans throughout the country. She believed that the people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press. Ida founded the Alpha Suffrage Club of Chicago in 1913 to organize African American women to fight for voting rights. During the 1913 parade in Washington, D.C., she ignored racist objections and marched with her white Illinois delegation on behalf of the Alpha Suffrage Club. To encourage others, she wrote, "The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them." And last but not least, oh, I missed one. Where is she? think she was right here. Her name is Sojourner Truth. She was born in 1797 and she lived until 1883. And her painting says, "Speak the truth." Sojourner Truth's given name was Isabel Baumfrey. She was born into slavery in Ulster County, New York. She left her owner in 1826, the year before enslaved people were freed in her state. Years later, she changed her name. Sojourner means someone who travels from place to place, and truth was at the center of her faith. She once said, "I will shake every place I go," and she did exactly that. Sojourner was one of the first African American women to successfully stand up for herself in court. Her young son was still enslaved and she sued to free him and won. Sojourner fought to end slavery and traveled the country pressing for equality for all. She worked with some of the most important thinkers of the day, such as abolitionist Frederick Douglass, that's Frederick Douglass right there, and President Abraham Lincoln. There's President Abraham Lincoln. In 1851, she spoke at the Women's Rights Convention in Akron, Ohio, and 1867 at the American Equal Rights Association meeting in New York. Sojourner asserted that all people deserve the right to vote, no matter the color of their skin, or if they were male or female. Sojourner lived to bring justice to others, proclaiming that the truth is powerful and will prevail. So the message of this book, that's only 3 of the 10 women that are featured in this book. But it says, "Now is your turn. You are the suffragists of our time. What would you change if you could? Stand up and speak out and fight for what you believe in. Be bold and brave. The future is yours to make." So that is our story for today. It's from Bold and Brave, 10 Heroes Who Won Women the Right to Vote. It was written by Kirsten Gillibrand and art by Maira Kalman. Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.